The scientific approach and the graphic model pointed to the same apparent reality. There really was a sliding system with brilliant liquid lying between the vacuoles and an armature of collagen fibers. This confirmed what we had initially thought about the pulling and tugging going on between the vacuoles. Moreover, thanks to this discovery, we were able to confirm that not only the tendons were able to move independently from each other, entire organs could do likewise, so the system was common to the whole organism. It was then that we realized what we had discovered. This multi-microvascular collagenic absorbing system was to be found everywhere in the body. Dermis, there's a highly mobile tissue encompassing everything else and penetrating what is known as the undermined plane. When this tissue is tracted upward, you get a surprise. Curious movements occur due to the bursting of vacuoles at atmospheric pressure, demonstrating the existence of hydraulic systems under different levels of pressure. How are these structures organized? How do they resorb and move, and what role do they play? To use the jargon of physical mechanics, the arrangement can be termed a complex one, completely stable and in search of equilibrium. A system with tremendous capacity to resist and adapt to change. For physicists and doctors alike, there is no other such entity with so much cacophonous movement on the microscopic and macroscopic level. Movements involving the muscles, fluids, fibrils, and cells. Here we are at the very heart of complexity. A Capernaum of collagen bathed in glycolicin with reservoirs of fatty microglobules storing energy, information, and matter. A communications network for exchanging energy, matter, and information between the component parts of the system and the various reservoirs by way of a torrent of blood rushing between the nerves, veins, arteries, and cells. Some mechanisms are still poorly understood, such as the fluctuations in pressure, visible in these images of the movement of drops within a filament that is clearly hollow. There's even more to the story. Within this global network encompassed by the skin, you also have valves able to increase or decrease the flow of information in terms of intensity and speed. Storage times play a leading role here in amplifying or inhibiting other mechanisms, with a direct consequence on fat and lymph reserves. This multi-microvascular system, which at first sight seemed chaotic and complex, is therefore a set of elements with a large number of non-linear interconnections and arranged with a universal aim in mind: to promote life, to subdivide, to multiply according to preordained criteria such as the level of oxygen, the temperature of the body, and the composition of the plasma. This internal state of equilibrium must be maintained at all cost. Yet this internal equilibrium comprises another essential aspect: the maintenance of the structural equilibrium in terms of mechanical stability and not in terms of flows or transmitters. In order to transmit, the structure must be able to resist, to adapt to basic environmental requirements, and to maintain its architecture, pre-stressed elastic cables already under tension. The principle is an architectural system in which the structures are stabilized by an equilibrium between the opposing forces of compression and tension, thereby allowing shape, solidity, multidirectional movement and independence from gravity to be conserved. Structures established by tensegrity are not stabilized by the resistance of each component part, like a column resisting gravity, but by a distribution and equilibrium between the mechanical stresses throughout the whole network. Such structures are therefore multidirectional, stable in all directions, and independent of gravity. These forces stabilize the structure through their equilibrium. But most importantly, all the forces are subjected to all the structural elements, with the result that the slightest increase in tension on any one of the elements is transmitted to all the others, even those the furthest away. At the cellular level, Dr. Ingber discovered the intracellular armature. An internal mesh composed of fibrillar elements arranged haphazardly but ensuring the fundamental role of restoring the original shape once the pressure is released. The pseudo-polygonal tendency indeed raises fundamental questions, since it is present at all levels of living matter, be it animal or vegetal. Through the importance of physical forces such as osmotic and electromagnetic pressure, it would seem to be the preferential system of construction that nature has developed during evolution. These highly efficient, flexible, pre-stressed fibrillar architectural shapes, associating great mechanical resistance and optimal sparing of matter, are no doubt helped by their capacity to take on various shapes that are more stable and adapted to sliding between each other. To respond to the direction of the stress, the biomechanics of the microvacuoles are assisted by the added capacity of the fibers to migrate around a nodal point, itself encompassing another fiber. This ability of matter to organize itself spatially offers an infinite potential for movement. However, the collagen armature is only one player in this choreography. The permanent lubrication by glycoaminoglycans through these diaphanous vials, where the drops are reminiscent of morning dew, is omnipresent, as is the migration of liquid within the fibers, suggesting that hydraulic mechanisms must play a decisive role here. Whenever a structure meets the atmosphere or during traction, signifies the existence of a pressure equilibrium. Moreover, one should not overlook the importance of these glycoaminoglycans, which are at different concentrations according to the location in the body. Whatever the final answer, the flexibility of these tissues relies on a mechanism of which one of the underlying modes of action could be tensegrity. Yet tensegrity cannot account for everything here. This complex sliding system, which maintains the structures and keeps them mobile, is therefore modified according to the circumstances and is subjected to the natural laws of change. This occurs either as a result of overloading, as in obesity, in which the vacuoles are dilated by adipocytes, or by wear, as in tenosynovitis, in which the fibers break or fray. But this can also